How's it going?
Hi. Have you or a loved one ever been affected by gatekeeping? Let me explain. Have you ever been hanging out with a friend and you hear a song that you like, but they won't tell you what it is? Have you ever been on TikTok or Instagram and you hear a song in a post or a reel, but the comments won't tell you what it is? Have you ever talked to a very pretentious music listener? They won't tell you their favorite artist because they don't want other people to know about them? If this has happened to you or a loved one, you have been a victim of gatekeeping, and you may be entitled to musical compensation. Let me explain. My name is Henry Loves Music, MD, PhD, BPD, HGTV. And I am a certified gatekeeping lawyer. I represent Henry Legal Firm, and we've been dealing with cases like this for over 50 years. And we've never lost. Never. Despite what our witness testimonials will say, we've never lost a case. People will come to us all the time talking about how they can't find a song or an artist because no one will tell them. And we solve it for them. We will take your opponent to court. And let me tell you, the judges love us. I can guarantee you when they look through their list of cases for this week, and they see ours right there, they know it's going to be an easy verdict. Because we don't lose. We just don't. So, if you've experienced any of this and you want to take action, call 1-800-555-2233. Again, that's 1-800-555-2233 to speak with me or one of our other highly experienced lawyers for a free consultation. Thank you. And now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
What a bit.
That was awesome.
Treat this nicely. I spent 20 minutes trying to tie this thing because I couldn't remember how to tie a tie. All for this bit. I'm being strangled. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's better. This is the most I've ever committed to a bit before. That was fun. That was kind of awesome. I can't even lie. I'm really interested to watch that back and see how that that went. Anyway, how are y'all doing? Hope your week's been good. Hope you guys enjoyed that little segment I put together. We're talking about gatekeeping today, if you couldn't tell. Also, I switched back to the old camera angle that I used in like the first video and the reaction because I figured out, I think I like this better than when it was facing over there. Let me know though, I could be wrong. Also, I don't have to hold the microphone, so I could use my hands more. But anyways, yeah, we're gonna talk about gatekeeping today. Gatekeeping has been such a buzzword in not only just like everywhere, but especially in the music community when it comes to smaller artists. And having just done a reaction to some smaller artists, I want to take a look into why gatekeeping is the way it is and why people do it so much. So yeah, buckle up, get yourself some popcorn, maybe a little bev. We're gonna dive right in. But first off, my name's Henry, I love music, and this is where I talk about it. It has been a crazy week for me. My small artist reaction video is sitting at like 650 views right now, which is crazy. Bigger than I ever thought that video would ever get to. You guys also recommended a ton of good artists in there, so a part 2 will definitely be coming out. Again, I want to say thank you to you guys for not only pushing that video over the edge, but just supporting throughout the entire thing. So thank you. If you're a day one subscriber or you're just new, still awesome. If you've never seen me before, if this is your first time on the channel, welcome. I talk about music, I upload once a week. Subscribe, please. It's free, and if you decide you hate me, just unsubscribe. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. Well, maybe a little bit, but I won't know who you are, so you're fine. If you leave a like on the video, that would be cool. Just saying. That would be awesome. Yeah, we're gonna get straight into it. Thank you for watching. So even though gatekeeping is very popular in the music community right now, it has origins far beyond that, like most words do. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, the definition of gatekeeping is the activity of trying to control who gets particular resources, power, or opportunities, and who does not. So again, not specific to music, just Controlling and regulating who gets what is essentially what gatekeeping boils down to. Although gatekeeping does tend to be the more extreme version of regulation, it tends to be a more marginalized or discriminatory version of regulation, where the source of the information is getting to handpick who receives it. Believe it or not, gatekeeping actually originates in the early 20th century. This comes from Wikipedia. Gatekeeping as a news process was identified in the literature as early as 1922, though not yet given a formal theoretical name. In his book, The Immigrant Press, Robert Park explains the process. Out of all of the events that happen and are recorded every day by correspondents, reporters, and the news agencies, the editor chooses certain items for publication, which he regards as more important or more interesting than others. The remainder he condemns to oblivion in the wastebasket. There is an enormous amount of news killed every day. So what Park is referring to here is the news industry. We live in a gigantic world, and there are newsworthy things happening every single day, whether it's local in your community or to a national scale. So where he's talking about news agencies, it comes up to the editor to decide what stories go out and what stories just kind of sit back and get killed, as he said. A prime example of gatekeeping, the editor being the source of the information, handpicking which information gets sent out to the people. Another good example of gatekeeping in the 20th century is from the 1943 publication Forces Behind Food Habits and Methods of Change by Kurt Lewins. Basically, it details how housewives in World War II were trying to change their family's food consumption during the big time of war. Lewins recognizes that there were many different sources where you could get food, whether it was from a store or a garden, and a lot of process it had to go through before it gets to the table. And Lewins' publication detailed how housewives or maids at the time would go to the store and the decision-making process of the food they would bring back to their families. Now, there are a few more examples of gatekeeping, or what people thought gatekeeping was in the 20th century, but I want to move on to the 21st century, where we're going to look at a person named, and I'm going to butcher this, Corinne Barzilai Nahon. I think I said that right, but I don't know. Now, what she did was develop this theory called the network gatekeeping theory and kind of redefine or reinvent old terms as it comes to gatekeeping. She defined gate as an entrance to or exit from a network or its sections, gatekeeping as the process of controlling information as it moves through the gate, gated as the entity subjected to gatekeeping, gatekeeping mechanisms as a tool, technology, or methodology used to carry out the process of gatekeeping, and a network gatekeeper as an entity, people, organizations, or governments that has the discretion to exercise gatekeeping through a gatekeeping mechanism in networks and can choose the extent to which to exercise it contingent upon the gated standing. The article also says, according to her approach, the gated can have 4 key attributes at different levels that determine how they can interact with the gate. These are political power in relation to the gatekeeper, information production ability, relationship with the gatekeeper, and alternatives in the context of gatekeeping. All of this was just to show that gatekeeping had evolved far beyond just selecting what news stories made it to publication. It had seeped its way into politics and everyday life as people knew it. It became another mechanism of power for people at a higher standing to not only have more money or more power in general, but also to have more information than the average person. Now, moving on from that and staying in the 21st century, we're going to move on to a topic I think is very interesting called audience gatekeeping. And it's something we all do on a daily basis, but don't really realize it. According to Shoemaker and Voss, audience gatekeeping is the process in which users pass along already available news items and comment on them, based on the user's own set of criteria about the newsworthiness. So essentially what this means is our brains or our algorithms know what we think is newsworthy on apps like Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, and we interact with this news based on how newsworthy we think it is. So for example, let's say I'm a big Nine Inch Nails fan. I'm the biggest Nine Inch Nails fan in the entire world. I have all their CDs, everything. I follow all their Instagram accounts. Now, if you'll remember a few days ago, Chappell Roan canceled her performance at the All Things Go festival in New York. And people were going crazy over this. It was on the news, they made an SNL skit about it, it was everywhere. But because I'm a huge Nine Inch Nails fan and I don't care about Chappell Roan, I'm probably not gonna see Chappell Roan canceling her tour on my timeline. And even if I do see it, I'm probably just gonna scroll past it because I don't care. And that is what we call audience gatekeeping. That is our algorithm, or just ourselves determining that a piece of news wasn't newsworthy and getting rid of it because we don't care. Alright, we could talk about gatekeeping as it comes to every single faction of everyday life as much as we want, but it's not what this video is about. This video is about music. And now that you know the history of gatekeeping, how does it apply to music? Gatekeeping as it comes to music usually is a few different circumstances, but the most popular one is someone finding out or listening to an artist that is either very small or just not mainstream, and not sharing their music or not telling people about them simply because of the fact that they want to be the only people that know about them. So for example, if my favorite artist only had 50 monthly listeners on Spotify, that means that there's like 50 other people that know about them. And I think it's so cool that they don't have that many listeners. And I think I'm so much better than everybody else because I know who they are and they don't. I'm not going to tell anybody about this music that I really like just because the fact I want to be the only person that knows about them. And that, my friends, is what gatekeeping is as it comes to small artists, which we see far too often. But gatekeeping music doesn't always have to be malicious. Most of the time, what happens is that someone really likes an artist, and either their friends or the people they surround themselves with, they know they're not going to like that artist or that music, or they've hated on them in the past before. So they listen to them in private and other artists that sound like that, and they gatekeep because they don't want people finding out that they listen to them. So again, even though it's not malicious, it is another form of gatekeeping. The third thing that kind of ties in with the first thing that I was talking about is that if you're a fan of a band or an artist when they're super small and they end up blowing up and going mainstream, you have the pride in knowing that you were there since they made whatever album or since they started making music. That again adds to your self-esteem and whatever else, and you can walk around and comment online about how I started listening during this and I know them from this, that kind of stuff. It becomes a numbers game at that point, and people that listen to music love winning numbers games. Whether it comes to having the most streams or listening to the most hours of music or whoever artist, people love saying that they are number one in that category. So now that we know why people gatekeep, how does it affect smaller artists? Obviously, I don't have to be the one to tell you this. It's not good for them. Being an artist who's just starting out and trying to make it in that career, gatekeeping is one of the things that can kill your career the fastest. If you're putting time and effort into your career and making good music and your fan base is just a bunch of people who don't want to share their music, it's not a good thing. And to be honest, you don't see it very often anymore, at least. A lot of the smaller artists that I follow on social media, their fan base is super outgoing and super encouraging, and they love to talk about the small artists that they follow. Whether it be sharing their posts on social media or commenting on all of their stuff, they love being a part of that community. Now, I can't speak for all of them, but at least the ones that I've seen. And obviously, it's not as bad now as I'm sure it was years ago with social media and stuff like that. All the materials we have now. When small bands had to be passed around by word of mouth and just physical copies of music, gatekeeping was the end-all be-all. If you were a band and you had 10 CDs and 2 of the people that had a CD didn't show it to anybody, that may have been a bad analogy, but I'm sure you get what I'm saying. But now, with things like TikTok and Instagram, it's so easy to share your music online. Even if your fan base is just a bunch of people who aren't going to tell people about your music and are going to gatekeep it, posting on TikTok is an easy, even like a flop video is an easy 300 views. And out of the people that see that video, you're going to get, who knows, 5-10 people that listen to the song and decide they really like it. That's like 10 more fans. And then on the off chance that your video skyrockets, that's a whole bunch more fans right there. Gatekeeping definitely isn't as detrimental on the artist side. It's a lot more detrimental on the consumer side of things, though. Just picture this, you're hanging out with your friends and they're playing a song and you really like it and you're trying to find out what it is, but they won't tell you because they're gatekeeping the artist. That's gonna mess with you a lot, isn't it? I just realized I said that very passionately, like I had been through that. My friends don't gatekeep from me. It all ties back into having that sense of pride or power in knowing that this person exists, or knowing that you're one of the only people that knows of this person. Some people, even when it comes to their friends or their closest relatives, gatekeeping that artist becomes much more important. Which is why I think as a creator, highlighting and spotlighting smaller artists is huge to kind of combat and kill gatekeeping. And that's why I made my previous video, and why I've made like a bunch of TikToks talking about smaller artists, is because gatekeeping just does not make sense to me. If I see a smaller artist that not many people know about it, and I know that there's gonna be people that love the music they make, I'm gonna put up billboards, I'm gonna fly banners across. I'm not gonna do all that. I'm gonna make a silly little 2-minute TikTok talking about how much I love their music, which, to be honest, is gonna get more people interested than a banner in the sky. But anyways, if you have an artist that you enjoy that doesn't have that many listeners, and you know there's more people that will enjoy it, gatekeeping just makes no sense to me. But it's also super interesting because I mentioned it also in the previous video that I wasn't gonna do small artist recommendations and stuff like that until my audience grew, just because I thought that covering small artists wasn't going to bring a lot of attention. So I wanted to wait until I had a solid audience to show these artists to before I talked about them. And to a certain extent, I still think that's true, but I was proved pretty much completely wrong. Maybe it was because it was more of a reaction style video, or maybe, I don't know. But the video I made talking about small artists, some with only like 20 listeners, is my most viewed video on the channel, which is awesome. And out of those 600 people, however many of those people listened to all of those artists, I'm sure there was a good handful of people that found music that they enjoyed and either followed the artists on Instagram or followed their Spotify or just kept up with them because of that. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of gatekeeping, obviously, but maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe there's an aspect of gatekeeping that's good, or just one that I didn't cover. If there is, feel free to leave it in the comments. I forgot that I was in a suit. I'm very open to being disagreed with. I think taking input from the opposite side is a very, very constructive way to kind of reform how you think and just kind of see where you missed. So if there's parts of gatekeeping that I didn't talk about, or there are parts of it that are beneficial, please let me know, because I would love to know your thoughts. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. That infomercial bit with the suit I thought of in like 10 minutes, and then I was like, I actually need to put it on, and I spent like 20 minutes figuring out how to tie a tie. So that was fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. But yeah, like, subscribe, and comment some small artists that you enjoy, because part 2 of reacting to small artists will be coming. I don't know if it'll be next video, but maybe the one after that. I want to give it some space because I have some more stuff I want to do. Also, if you are going to the Dan and Alden concert on Wednesday, October 9th, comment that, because I'm going and I want to see who I want to see who else is. But anyways, I will see you guys in the next one.
Bye.